I'd like to share a metaphor that I think might be helpful for people on the autistic spectrum or anyone else who's neuroatypical to understand why they can't get on with other people and vice versa. I've found this is a perennial theme in my life, and the best metaphor I can come up with is to imagine that everybody is tethered to a peg in the ground by an elastic rope. And everyone has one. Some are longer, some are shorter, some are stronger elastic than others. And most of the pegs are clustered really quite close together, and they get less common as they spread out, and then eventually you get some that are really quite far away. Now, the people in the middle, whether they have a long rope or a short rope, don't have to stretch the rope. They are already where plenty of other people are, and they have no trouble. As you get further out, if you're particularly inflexible, like you have a particularly short rope or strong elastic, it's going to be impossible or exhausting to get right to the center. But maybe you can get close enough to the center that there's still plenty of people within arm's reach. And you get right out to the edge where you're far away from other people, and especially if you have autistic tendencies. Not only do you have a strong elastic and a relatively short rope, but you're so far away that any other person cannot meet you halfway. You can only get so far towards them, and you're putting in so much effort pulling against this elastic, and it's snapping back, and you're pulling again, and you're trying your best, and you feel like you're putting in Herculean efforts to meet the person halfway, and they don't seem to be meeting you halfway. But it may be that their peg is just so far away that even if they're trying, even if they've got no shorter elastic than you, they can be pulling. And they've got a choice. They could be pulling really, really hard towards you, or they could turn around and pull towards someone who's a few meters from them, and with barely any pulling at all, reach out and touch them. So if you're out on the rim and you feel like people don't meet you halfway, and you're constantly bemoaning the double standards of people who, expect you to do all of the work to accommodate them and what they expect, understand a lot of them have never had to stretch their rope at all. And a lot of them have just found that if they put in the effort, they can stretch the rope towards the center, and then every now and then they need a break and they just, go back to where they were. But they can habituate that. That can be just a normal part of life, and they can get on fine with people. And so they can't relate. They can't relate to putting in a lot of effort and feeling like you're being disloyal to yourself, where you have to sacrifice some very core aspect of your personality to not even be accepted, but just to be within range of people who might accept you. And I think the tragedy of it is we're scattered along the outskirts of this circle. And even though each of us would probably, if our pegs had just been lined up nicely on a small arc of the circle, we'd be within range of each other. But because we're scattered through all the different segments of the circle, we can't even reach each other half the time. And it's very isolating, and it's kind of tragic, really.